Hello, sorry, I got too much equipment on here. Good morning. As Anthony mentioned, I'm Terry Culver, the CEO of ETC Labs. And as I was walking around this morning, for some reason I was thinking about how gravity was discovered. And I think it relates to what we're talking about here. As the story goes, in the late 1600s, Isaac Newton was sitting in his garden under a tree, doing what physicists do, thinking great thoughts, when all of a sudden, out of the blue, an apple hit him on the head. And that apple produced an insight into certain forces in the world that led to his universal law of gravity. Much has been written about Newton and his discovery. But I'd like to take a moment to think about the apple, the humble apple, the tree on which it grew, the garden in which the tree grew. All of these elements, to my mind, represent the ecosystem in which discoveries are made, the ecosystem that helps discoveries be possible. Often we think about transformational technologies in terms of the people who lead them. The inventor, the innovator, the genius. But we also often neglect the ecosystem that enabled them to succeed. We humanize technological change by telling a story about the individuals who drove that change. And we understand that change as a period of time in history, a moment where that change took place, or in the case of Newton, the moment of impact of the apple. The story repeats itself throughout history. With almost any technological innovation, you'll hear the same kind of creation story. Thomas Edison flipping a switch, enlightening the world with electricity, and many, many others. However, as I think many of you in this room know, technological change is much more complicated. It's messy, it doesn't occur in a straight line, it's difficult, it's littered with failure and wishful thinking. The story is greater than any one individual, and it occurs over long stretches of time. Innovators don't operate alone, and innovation is not an isolated activity. Instead, it is a product of shared values, collaboration, network of relationships, social and economic needs, and an entire community that cultivates change and enables that change to grow and to thrive. All this is to say that this is our goal at ETC Labs. We're trying to grow and sustain a vibrant ecosystem for Ethereum Classic. It is, of course, easier said than done. We can't buy or borrow an ecosystem. We can't outsource it. We can't hire a consultant. It has to be built over time and from the ground up. But, you know, we're in a period of transformational change with the advent of blockchain and digital assets. And that change promises to change the way we interact with institutions, the way we store value, the way we engage in contracts. This is, in many ways, a fundamental general-purpose technology similar to the wheel, even. And, you know, what that means is we need to take a long time to think about the elements in that ecosystem. You know, Ethereum Classic is, it has a solid foundation. It is, in many respects, in the early stages of development. And this means that there's an enormous amount of upward potential. We're confident that ETC will experience high growth. And this also means that we have an opportunity to build the ecosystem with the benefit of others who have come before us. We can look at what we're doing in a more mature global market from which we derive knowledge, insights, lessons, and experience. There are a number of interesting projects that I think are going on that you've either heard about already today or will hear about later today or tomorrow. The first is the Emerald Project, which will help us achieve scale of development. The second is the proliferation of sidechains to increase use and increase access for developers. And then the third is Sputnik VM, which I think you heard about this morning. In addition to these current projects, we are committed to the growth of ETC And as an expression of this commitment, we've established the lab in San Francisco. I'm pleased to announce that the first pilot projects will be housed in the lab starting October 1. And we will host up to 25 startups per year, probably in 2 to 3 cohorts, starting in January. We've thought a lot about how best to build this ecosystem, and we think it's made up of several key elements. Some of these elements, some of these elements are already in place. For example, a group of well-informed people like all of you here who believe in the future of digital assets and are committed to their growth. Another is we have a very clear purpose. We know what we stand for. We believe in the fundamental promise of blockchain, that is, trust earned from a decentralized, censorship-resistant, and permissionless network. But a vibrant ecosystem is made up of several other elements that the ETC Labs will provide. The first is startup density. As I mentioned, we'll host up to 25 startups a year. We have 6,500 square feet of space, so there's plenty of room for successful projects, for collaboration, and interaction with other developers and entrepreneurs. We're also opening an office in Singapore. So startups will have an opportunity to be located in one of 2 great hubs for innovation. The second is access to great ideas. The lab will provide training, workshops, technical development, business development, market research, development of business plans, really anything that enterprises need in order to grow. We can also offer highly experienced technical development from developers at ETC Dev and IOHK. And finally, we'll provide access to social and financial capital, both by making direct investments in the startups and by helping them connect to a network of collaborators, investors, supporters, and enthusiasts. As the lab grows, we're particularly interested in new tools and frameworks or applications on Ethereum Classic. And we have some thoughts about what some of these ideas that will help ETC grow. The first is tools and frameworks for development, such as wallets, smart contract IDEs, new smart contract languages, blockchain explorers, new virtual machines, and sidechains. The second is application development, applications related to decentralized exchanges, information storage, game prediction, and so on. I'm also excited to share with you a new project that we've launched called CoinGame. It's a game prediction based on the ETC and ETH blockchain. It's a revolutionary new platform which allows crypto enthusiasts to predict the outcomes of events and place a wager using a totally secure and transparent method, also known as a smart contract. The participants make a prediction and deposit cryptocurrencies into the smart contract. Once the prediction period is finished, the smart contract automatically checks for the result of the prediction and transfers the winnings appropriately. As CoinGame will act as a counterparty for each prediction, wagers placed on the losing prediction will be collected by the platform automatically. So you have no risk that you can't either collect or pay, depending on which side of the bet you're on. Users, as of now, can choose their favorite sports and place their bets on football, such as the Premier League, La Liga, Champions League, and so on. They can also place wagers on esports, League of Legends, Dota 2, and StarCraft. Like traditional betting, there's 3 types. There's three-way prediction, which so you can wager on a home win, an away win, or a draw. You can wager on a handicap basis based on the differentials between the 2 players. And you can also wager on an over-under basis, so winning by a certain number of points or losing by a certain number of points. We'll also provide predictions on cryptocurrency markets and lotteries, and more games will be coming up soon, including luck dice and slots. And so please stay tuned for more news about CoinGame. As I hope you can see, this is an exciting time to be involved in the ETC community. I certainly think so. And I invite you to join us and follow what's happening at the labs. If you're a developer, an entrepreneur, if you have an innovation or even an idea, please get in touch. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you.